Hello everyone, it's me Jenny and this is another video response to Trisha Hershberger's The Naked Truth. As you can tell, I'm not naked and I explained my reasons in the previous video, but I'm not wearing any makeup. I have just got out of the shower. It's my day off tomorrow, so my sister has brought me a glass of wine, so that's awesome. And Trisha's subject this week was faith. And this is an incredibly complicated issue which has so many different connotations, politically, socially, like pretty much every facet of life at some point has related to faith in some way or another. And you know, it's both incredibly personal and very, very relevant to everyone's life, regardless of whether or not they have a faith. It's so intrinsic to history in its own right, and so such a complicated issue, it's very hard to study it in its own right. For me personally, I have certain rules when discussing faith. For me, when actually discussing it generally, you either have to look at it very, very generally, or you have to look at it on an individual level. As I said, this is such a universal topic. Faith is universal to every culture. Historically, you can see how cultures and religions have melded going back into history, how you can see cross-hatching between Greek and Roman myth, how you can see similarities between Judaism and Christianity, and how the family trees all interconnect, and yet they're all very distinct in their own right. And that distinct group goes further down into factions of its own right, like the difference between Protestant and Catholic Christians, and then from there it goes down into individual factions, into congregations, into prayer groups, into internal religion, which is probably the heart of faith, because each story, each kind of historical, farther back as you go, scripture of a religion doesn't dictate what goes on with your mental processes. Every part of faith and every part of religion is so internalised, it's so based in your upbringing, your research, how you perceive the world, and it shapes how you perceive the world, and it is shaped by how you perceive the world. So when you discuss religion, you have to look at it either very, very widely or on an individual basis. You can't say this group of people believe this, because you can't know. You can't generalise. You can specify, but you can't generalise. And even when you do specify, you can't mind read. So it's such a complicated issue that my rule when discussing it is you have to really either involve all of the spectrum or look at one fragment. So that's a very complicated thing. For me personally, going back into historical religion, looking at the pathways and the way that these stories have melded within cultures is just stunning, and I love the way that modern religion is slowly melding with modern science and understanding, and it's really delightful to look at. My other rule for discussing this is not so much discussing it, but practice. Believe whatever you want to believe, just don't hurt anyone else. And it's so simple and it's so complicated at the same time, because there's a certain group, this is a group, and you know, some individuals obviously don't follow this, but this group believes that if you do not convert, you will burn in hell. So it's inconvenient and unpleasant when they wake you up at 8:30 in the morning on your day off, and knock on your door and make you stand out on the doorstep. But their sentiment is that they're genuinely trying to save you from damnation. And so it's such a complicated issue, because when I say no but thank you, the no is genuine. I'm not interested, it's not my belief, and I'm not happy with you forcing that on me. But I am so thankful for your moral thought that you want to save me. That genuine thought that despite the fact that I am not happy with being woken up, I'm not happy with you forcing this on me, you are trying to do something good. And it's such a complicated issue. but then of course it goes to very high extremes with some people resulting in violence. Just generally be a nice person, and you can be a nice person as someone of faith or someone who is an atheist. For me personally, I'm not going to go into great detail, but faith is very adaptable. Faith is adaptable and has been throughout the ages, and it is adaptable internally. As I said, it's shaped by your upbringing and by your perception, and it shapes your upbringing and perception. So for me, going to a Church of England primary school, being as I am now, I don't really need to comment, but I'm not particularly religious, and I'm very, very adaptable. I've had my moments of, you know, pure just elation at nature. And, you know, when I was 17 and in deep mourning, I did pray, although whether or not that was praying to my subconscious, or praying to the person that I'd lost, or praying to a deity, I honestly couldn't say. But that mental process, maybe it was just habit forming, still happened. So it's very, very internal and very adaptable. And I'm sure what I believe now will probably be different to what I believe in 10 years or 20 years or 50 years. At the moment, my faith can be kind of summed up by a song which is actually a folk song, so it is really old, which is I do not look for holy saints to guide me on my way, nor male or female devilkin to lead my feet astray. If they are added, I rejoice, if not I shall not mind, as long as I leave in place to meet my fellow kind. For as we go, and as we come, and deadly soon go we, the people are good enough for me. And I really like that saying, because for me, at least at this point in my life, people are what matter. Not necessarily something external, something greater than me. If it exists, I'll get to it when I get to it. It's clearly not so important that it affects my life at this juncture. And I'm afraid I've talked way too much. I've gone into a very long tangent and all of those sort of things, but there we go. Trisha, if you want to link me, you may. Hopefully I haven't lost too many subscribers for this discussion. And yeah, I'm going to drink some wine and upload this. See you guys all soon. Happy VEDA. Bye guys.